I'm always honest with you guys. Always. No matter what happens, I'm always honest with you guys when it comes to things that bother me, when it comes to things that happen in my life, when it comes to what we see on Monday Night Raw, AEW, NXT, SmackDown, and everything in between. I've always been honest with you guys. If I told you that I was excited to sit here and record and produce a 2-hour podcast, which I'm crossing my fingers and I hope that it doesn't go that long. I usually say that and then I go 2.5 hours. If I told you I was excited to produce an off the script today for you guys, I would be lying. I'm not excited. I'm not excited about anything pro wrestling. In fact, I hate it. I'm not falling out of love with pro wrestling. I am absolutely just spent. I have no more to give. My energy is just not there because the energy that we're getting back is nothing but negative. You know, I sit here every week and I compile notes and I think about what I'm going to say when I sit here, thus off the script. It is an unfiltered podcast where I take my notes and I write my thoughts down here and there all throughout the week, and I sit here and I give you guys everything that's been just sitting on my brain all week long. I want to talk about the creative side of things. I want to talk about what Monday Night Raw is doing and what Monday Night Raw is not doing. I want to sit here and talk about what SmackDown is doing and what Bruce is not doing on SmackDown, what Vince is not doing on Raw, who he's not pushing, who he should be pushing, what storyline is working, what storyline is not working, where they should go with this storyline. Why didn't they go here instead of going there? This show is so creatively driven by what happens on TV week in and week out. That's what gets me excited. What gets me excited is the energy of the fans. That's what gets me excited. What gets me excited is to watch people that I love watching perform grow. I love watching a storyline advance and watching it advance to where it should be going. Getting over who it should be getting over. And then where they go from there. Where they go on to the next storyline. That's what I've pretty much done with this entire podcast. Creative. My creativity and my love for creative and my passion for pro wrestling and my love and passion for watching people grow is very exciting to me. I feel like I haven't had any of that since this entire COVID shit has been a thing. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. Today's podcast is nothing but COVID. It's nothing but who's sick. Why didn't WWE test? Why didn't they do this? Why aren't they wearing masks? Why are they still in the PC? Why aren't they quarantined? Who is at risk? Who could potentially be sick? Etc., etc. Then on top of that, you got the speaking out movement, where you got everybody in the community throwing everybody else under the bus. All these different performers that you might have looked up to, might have owned a picture of autographed, might have purchased a t-shirt from, might have found some influence from to even get into the business. Some of you might have actually trained with these fucking people. I've called matches for some of these fucking people. That's also hanging over everybody's head in the community. Who said what? Who did what? Who all worded who? Who did this? Who did that? It's just so much that I don't really even want to do a show. I just want my fucking pro wrestling back. I really do. The one thing that makes me happy is not prevalent on these shows anymore. Everything is negative. Everything that's happening is something I wish would just go away so we can get back to regular life. I don't even have my House of Glory shows anymore. I don't. How could we? With everything going on in WWE and everybody else producing same old fucking boring, empty arena, no fans, and if you do have fans, you're putting them at risk shows, I don't even have my House of Glory family to go to anymore. The one thing I loved about that, on top of what I did here, I would find happiness at those shows. No matter how disenfranchised I was with the WWE and how shitty their creative direction was on Monday and Friday night, I knew at least once a month I had that to look forward to. And now I don't, for obvious reasons. I loved it so much, I would get there while the ring is still being set up. And I would sit there, and I would take my notes, and I would just be happy being around pro wrestling. Watching everybody put the ring together. Watching my boss, Brian, run around frantically trying to put on the best show he could possibly put on. Watching Hodge, Jason, who obviously you guys know from the intros of Monday Night and Off the Script. He put those together. Watching him work his magic and make House of Glory look better than any other fucking wrestling promotion on the indie scene. Watching Dean do his thing. Hanging out with Solomonster, sitting around doing commentary, feeling the energy of the crowd. Having the roster come up to me, saying what's up to me, and telling me that they listened to the show and that they laughed at this or they agreed with that on what I said. Watching guys like Ken Broadway, who's the fucking face of that company, breaks my goddamn heart that he's got to sit, and everybody's got to sit, while we get through this, not performing. Guys like that having their career stifled for no reason. Watching Amazing Red work and come back out of a quote-unquote retirement to lead our cruiserweight division. Or X division, suicidal division. Into heights that would have fucking set the independent scene on fire. I don't have any of that. I can't take what I love about this sport and relay it onto everybody else. That's what I love most. Watching everybody grow, watching the excitement just burst around me. Watching guys like Ken and Main Event and Evander James and fucking Charles Mason. All these guys grow. It's the one thing I love most. Their growth makes me fucking happy. Everybody I watch on weekly television, their growth makes me happy. We're not growing. We're not growing. The only thing that's growing is the fucking infection cases of COVID. The only thing that's growing are the allegations coming out on social media regarding the entire wrestling community. That's not pro wrestling to me. I can't get excited about that. Thus, my desire not to do a podcast. It pains my heart that the main story today is what WWE did as far as testing. What they didn't do as far as testing and their negligence towards their entire fucking roster. Dealing with the COVID-19 situation. You know, a lot of people said that wrestling was not an essential business. You are correct. Wrestling is not an essential business. In no way, shape, or form did I ever think wrestling was an essential business. People said, why don't you just enjoy it for what it is? Why don't you just enjoy the escapism that they're providing you? Then obviously WWE had to shill that they are woven into the fabric of society, right? Got to give you that bullshit spiel that they're woven into the fabric of society. They do it for the fans. They wanted to take away the negative of the real life and give you some sort of hope and happiness with what they were doing on TV. How the fuck could you do that when the shows are awful? The shows don't make sense. You're making me more angry. It's not an essential business. They wanted you to think that it was an essential business. It's not. Now look at where we are. Look at what has happened. You know, I love baseball. I'm an Atlanta Brave fanatic. Been a Braves fan for almost 30 years. Almost all my life. Been a Braves fan. We're pretty much going into the All-Star break now. We haven't had one fucking baseball game. Not one goddamn baseball game. And we're heading into the All-Star break where the All-Star game would have been taking place. Not one pitch has been thrown. Do I miss Major League Baseball? Absolutely. I got the MLB Network all queued up already for when baseball does come back in July in front of empty fans, empty arenas with no fans. Yes, I got it all queued up already. It makes me happy watching a pitcher throw a ball and a batter swinging a wooden bat. It makes me happy. There's nothing like the excitement of playoff baseball when the Braves are in it. Then they lose and get swept in the first round, but that's a completely different story. But I love baseball. Do I need baseball? No. I don't need baseball. Do I miss baseball? Yes. Do I love baseball? Yes. Do I need pro wrestling? No, I don't. I think I and everybody else in the community that has a brain that has gotten to this point by building a brand and a business basically from nothing, I think we will be fine. We've developed an audience that wants to hear what we have to say and just wants to hang out, shoot the shit, listen to some music, drink a beer, talk pro wrestling. I think everybody in the same boat that I am in will be fine. Do we need pro wrestling? No. No. Would I miss pro wrestling? Absolutely. But I don't need it. I don't need to see it every week to live a fulfilling life. You see, no matter what anybody thinks of the CV-19, no matter what anybody thinks, you could be a conspiracy theorist and you could think about all the shit that everybody in that community is saying about what's going on. Or you could be one of those people that wears a fucking mask like my neighbor who just moved out upstairs. God forbid he was still here. Thank Christ he's gone. Wore his fucking mask inside the house like a complete raving lunatic. Could be like that. You could be living in fear of what the TV box is telling you. And everything in between. But the one thing that this time should have really brought out of you is to find what's really important in life. Is pro wrestling really that important in everyday life? No. Just like Major League Baseball wasn't, just like the NBA wasn't, just like NASCAR and golf and hockey and tennis and every other sport that you might find a passion in. It's not important. It's not important. What should have been important is who you have developed bonds with, family, friends, co-workers right now that are out of work and are struggling to make ends meet with everything that's going on. Maybe you didn't know how to cook. Maybe you were a terrible fucking dude in the kitchen, didn't know your way around. Maybe you burned a box of fucking Kraft macaroni and cheese. It tasted like fucking rubber after you got done with it. Maybe you learned how to make a proper serving of macaroni and cheese. Maybe you took up a cooking class online and really applied that to everyday life now. Maybe you were someone who always wanted to take up a lesson in music and picked up a guitar and you finally learned how to strum a chord. That's progress. Maybe with the gyms being closed down, you found some other avenue to maybe get your work in. Whereas most of the people have just sat around and waited for the gyms to open. You put on 30 pounds and now you're asking yourself, what the fuck did I do? Meanwhile, you could have kept that motivation going and kept pushing yourself instead of falling back into this depressive state. Maybe you found other avenues to work out, whether it go bike riding or walking or jogging or something at home. Buy yourself one of these mirrors or some of these at-home workouts, Beachbody on demand, like I have sponsoring the show, where you could just work out at home. That's what the entire situation that we're dealing with right now, that's what should be important. Pro wrestling is not important. And I wanted to sit here and be honest with you guys because I just feel very different when I wake up in the morning and I look at the news and I see nothing at all to do with anything that makes me love pro wrestling. And it breaks my heart. It really does. It really does. So what we have lined up today is nothing creative. Nothing creatively. Maybe a thing or two here creatively about what's happening on television. We don't even know if there's going to be television. We don't. WWE, as I'm recording this, could have another report come out saying that they're halting every TV taping that they have going on right now for the next 2-3 weeks, maybe a month. And they're administering a self-quarantine for everybody because of what happened inside the Performance Center. Because of WWE's own stupidity and their own negligence. Everything about today's podcast is about everything moving away from the creative side of WWE. It's all about the real life issues, about a business that doesn't give a shit about who is employed there. It is about a business that wants to put out blanket statements that say absolutely nothing and contradicts everything that is going on right now inside that building in Winter Park, Florida. It is about a company that does not give a shit about anybody employed there, doesn't give a shit about anybody's families. It only cares about their TV contracts and their bottom line and how to get from point A to point B, from point B to pay-per-view. That's it. That's all these people care about. Whether you watch or not, they don't give a shit. Whether you are happy or not, they don't give a shit. Whether their roster is healthy or sick, they don't give a shit. Whether you wear a mask or not, they don't give a shit. That's what today's show is about. Who's sick? Who's not sick? Who could be sick? What WWE is going to do as far as their protocol? Who are they testing? Who are they not testing? How are they testing? I'm not a scientist. I don't want anything to do with this shit. But here we are. Here we are. And I know you guys are feeling the same way that I'm feeling. You're either not watching and watching me to get your WWE fill, or you're not watching at all. And at that point, I don't even blame you. Because probably I would be right there with you not watching if I didn't have this show. But I have a duty. I have an obligation, not only to myself, but to you guys. You guys are the most important thing in my life. If I did not give you guys what you expect, I would feel bad. This is Off the Script. Episode 332, part number 1 for your Friday, June 26th, 2020. Like I said already multiple times, the big story is WWE right now with COVID-19. Everything is an absolute disaster coming out of the Performance Center. Several superstars tested positive. Over 24 is what I'm hearing, with Brian Alvarez, as of this afternoon, an hour ago, saying whatever you originally heard is worse than what was originally reported. 30, 40, 50, 100? We don't know. We don't know. I was live with Jesse with AEW Dynamite on Off the Script last night. While we were live recording, Renee Young came out on social media and said she has COVID. One thing led to another. What about her husband, Jon Moxley? What is his status for Fyter Fest in 2 weeks? Next week, actually, because they're taping next week. Renee Young was on SmackDown. Did she give it to anybody while she was there on SmackDown? She was in the ring with AJ Styles and Matt Riddle and Daniel Bryan. And then there was a ton of superstars in that very locker room surrounding the ring, watching Riddle and AJ Styles work. Did she have it then? How far along in her at-home quarantine is she? Is she on the road to recovery? Is she past the shitty stages of this thing? I don't know. I don't know. On top of that, Kayla Braxton, Adam Pearce, they had statements on what had happened. WWE executive, a top WWE executive, says the health and safety of our superstars is paramount. Really. Because you're really shown that it's anything but the last week. We'll talk about everything regarding that. Roman Reigns is made to look like a fucking god. After all of this, he looks like the most brilliant man in the history of mankind for what he did and him not coming back to TV. Reason why Kevin Owens pulled himself off WWE TV after the first positive test was released. And then we'll talk about the speaking out movement, Sammy Guevara, quote unquote, canceled by cancel culture. Marty Scurll, we got Paige's family ousted as well, emails leaked, proposing favors for career advancement. How karma is a bitch. Fans speculate that Matt Riddle has already lost his push on SmackDown due to the speaking out movement. More allegations made against Matt Riddle. WWE erases Jack Gallaher from their entire history. Then we get into the actual program of WWE SmackDown and Backstage. Backstage canceled. News and notes coming out of SmackDown. Could Eric Rowan return to SmackDown for the Bray Wyatt Braun Strowman storyline moving forward into Extreme Rules? I got all that for you guys. It's going to be a loaded show right here on Off the Script. So again, thank you guys for joining me. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on that bell for all notifications. I really appreciate you guys. 100%. You are the lifeblood of this podcast, of this channel. Follow me on social media at JDfromNY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys go and check all the other videos that you might have missed already this week. Going right back to last weekend's Off the Script, where we talked about the no masks situation with Kevin Dunn and talk about the speaking out movement. The original allegations with Matt Riddle and the Velveteen Dream being the two biggest names ousted from this entire movement thus far. So if you guys missed any of that, that is live on the channel right now. Monday Night Raw, an hour and a half of audio video content for you guys this week coming out of Monday Night Raw. Go and check that out. On Wednesday, we did AEW Dynamite. That was Jesse and I. We talked AEW. Go and check that out. Probably the best show that we've done together thus far. It's only going to get better, folks. It's only going to get better. I love having him on. He thinks like I do. We are in sync. It's just great, great stuff. So go and check that out as well. And tonight, as always, I'll be back for SmackDown. And we'll talk SmackDown and all the happenings coming out of tonight's show. That'll be later on tonight. And obviously, Off the Script will be rolling on through the weekend as I got a ton of news coming out of the WWE with COVID, the speaking out movement, and what happened on Monday Night Raw with a big, big story going on into Extreme Rules and into SummerSlam Is WWE set to rinse and repeat the same storyline that they've done for 2 years in a row now with the WWE Championship going into SummerSlam? You don't want to miss Saturday's show. It is a complete shit show coming out of WWE. So go and check all that out. Links are down below in the description. Patreon.com/JDfromNY206 if you guys want to support the podcast by another way. Patreon is always there, never an obligation, always there for you guys to show some extra appreciation. And today's podcast is brought to you by my good friends over at The Ridge, ridge.com/scripts. And I want to thank them, as always, for being with me all summer long right here on the podcast. We'll talk about my friends over at The Ridge a little bit later. I want to start off with some positivity. Before all of this COVID stuff happened, there was a news article that Sean Ross Sapp and Fightful on Fightful Select released earlier in the week, and it had to do with details on how WWE has actually made the life easier for all NXT talent acting as fans. I found this to be interesting, and I wanted to start off with a little bit of positivity before we get into the shit show that is the WWE Performance Center this week. Now, WWE holding TV tapings from Orlando, Florida at the Performance Center has been a hot topic as of late due to the COVID testing. However, a new report has shed some light on the improvements done by WWE management to make things easier for the talent acting as fans. WWE had to move to the training facility back in mid-March in order to tape weekly television. That much we know. A few weeks ago, when WWE started using developmental talent as fans, there were stories about how they had to deal with long days and only allowed to take a few breaks where they could actually sit down. WWE reportedly had everybody that acted as fans or acting as fans stand multiple hours for multiple tapings, 10, 11, 12-hour days over multiple days, standing. Kevin Dunn berating them, calling them NXT recruits. And some of these people were actually on NXT television. If WWE wanted to pretend that NXT was equal and a third brand, Kevin Dunn did everything to kind of squash that thought immediately. They're not equal. They're not a legit third brand. According to WWE upper management, they are still a developmental brand, quote-unquote recruits. Disrespectful. I found great issue with that. I hate that. They're not recruits. Some of them are. But don't get on the PA system and start claiming that everybody is a recruit when some of those names are actually on TV. So we had that. And then we had the story that WWE didn't allow them into catering, and that WWE didn't allow them to mingle with main roster stars, and that WWE had them eat in a separate tent by themselves. And they had to bring lunch from home. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reports that a couple of tapings where the conditions weren't so wonderful that I just went over. Various WWE stars have recently come forward to talk about the improvements that the company has made. Talent now has air conditioning in the tents. First and foremost, talent has air conditioning in the tents. It's fucking Florida. You would assume that air conditioning is a priority. So they let these kids, they let these recruits, they let these NXT superstars who have been on television for weeks now sit in a tent like a boot camp with their own packed kiddie lunches in the little brown paper bags, sit in a tent outside and sit there with no air conditioner. I don't understand that. That's how you get someone sick, honestly. That's one thing to do if you want someone to get sick. Have them be in an air-conditioned facility. Then have them go out into the 90-degree fucking heat, the 100% humidity, sweat your balls off, come back into an air-conditioned facility. That's how someone gets sick. I don't know why this isn't a thing. I don't know why this isn't logical to WWE. But now they finally have air conditioning in the tents. Great! Why wasn't that there before? Or here's a better thing. Why didn't you just mingle, or why didn't you just have them mingle with the main roster talent and sit in catering where it was air conditioned? No, you want to act like they're not even part of the team. So they have air conditioning in the tents. some talent has stated that the more recent sets of tapings have been easier to work, that WWE has brought in chairs in between segments so that they can sit down. WWE has also brought in food trucks and added coolers for energy drinks available to all of the PC talent acting as fans. WWE wrapped up their latest set of tapings last week, had to nix the NXT taping. They went live with NXT last week, and they nixed the planned TV taping for SmackDown that will air this week, and they will be taping tape to live on Friday. So it's going to be as close to live as possible. Right now, quote-unquote scheduled. That's the way that they have it set up for now. Friday and Saturday, they're going to do double tapings. 2 episodes of SmackDown on Friday and 2 episodes of Raw on Monday is the current plan. Thus, the talent on the blue brand, obviously, is going to have to hopefully get their tests so we know who is positive and who's negative with the latest outbreak of COVID in WWE. And we don't even know if that's going to be a thing, which I'll get into in just a second. But that is what Sean Ross Sapp is reporting on the NXT talent acting as fans. At least whoever's going to be there in attendance and be acting as fans for the duration here, if there is tapings, at least now they are being a little bit taken care of in just a better way. So I'm happy to hear that, really, because I went off on WWE just on how they belittle their NXT talent. You're asking them to come to work. They're employees. You're asking them to do this thing that's going to actively make your show better. At least show some appreciation and compensate for their time. They could be doing 1,001 other things, but you're asking them to come, and then you're treating them like garbage. Doesn't really sound like a fair trade-off. You're putting their lives at risk. You're putting their health at risk. At least make it easy for them. So that's that. WWE plans are in jeopardy now. I just talked about the tapings. Friday and Saturday. Double of SmackDown on Friday. Double of Raw on Saturday. WWE plans are now in jeopardy as major Raw superstar reportedly tests positive for COVID-19. Plans cannot continue reportedly without this superstar. Now, I don't want to throw names out there because it could honestly be anybody. It could be Angel Garza. It could be Andrade. It could be Montez Ford or Angelo Dawkins. They're in the next tag team title program on Monday night. Could be Drew McIntyre. Could be Dolph Ziggler. That match could be nixed from the plans if one of those guys is out and tested positive. Could be Seth Rollins. It could be Rey Mysterio. It could be Dominic. Could be. We don't know. But according to Ringside News, they have learned that the company is still trying to figure out what to do. People are frustrated backstage because they aren't getting any answers. And that's going to be a common theme throughout this entire show, folks. The atmosphere was described as scary backstage. As scary as Bruce riding Monday and Friday? Possibly. When you're throwing people's lives at risk here, it is definitely a lot more scarier than whatever Bruce can conjure up on Monday and Friday night. Anyone who tests positive for COVID will need to have their role performed by somebody else. That's what WWE has mandated. Anyone who tests positive will need to have their role performed by someone else. This gets even trickier when talking about superstars. There was a word going around, according to Ringside News, that a superstar currently involved in a major feud tested positive for COVID-19. This is not our place to reveal the name, they say. I don't know said name, but I can assume who said name is. But if this is true, then it will dramatically change a major, ongoing red brand storyline, is what they state. It's hard to believe that the storyline can happen at all without this particular superstar. Now, it is a superstar. It is one superstar. And it's an ongoing Red Brand storyline that obviously this individual is of major importance to said storyline. And it cannot happen without this particular superstar. Now, when I read that, I don't want to jump to conclusions. Don't quote me. Please don't. Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler was announced on Monday. They could easily change plans for that. That's a one-off. That is a, let's get something on pay-per-view so we can get Drew to SummerSlam before we have Brock Lesnar take the championship again. Ha 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 ha. Is JD joking? Find out tomorrow. That could be easily changed. The Street Profits and Zelina Vega's guys, that could be easily changed. That was just born this week. Really. WWE could rewrite that storyline and add and subtract how they please and have it make sense, hopefully. That really isn't a necessity. It's not really a major storyline on Monday night. Neither is the Drew McIntyre storyline with Dolph Ziggler. The WWE Championship hasn't even been in a major storyline since he's won it, so it really doesn't matter to me what they do with Drew McIntyre from this point on. They're really ruining him as the weeks go on anyway. But the Dolph Ziggler match is anything but important. You could change that and make it better. You could actually enhance the WWE Championship match at Extreme Rules if you actually remove Dolph Ziggler from the equation. Now, what other storyline is happening on Monday Night Raw? It's Edge and Randy Orton. Edge is not on TV. Edge is hurt. If Randy Orton goes away, what happens to the storyline? Nothing. Because you're going to be able to pick up the pieces right from Backlash and what happened with Edge and Randy Orton. Everything you're doing in the meantime is you're biding time for Edge to come back and you want to continue the storyline, whereas you don't really need to anyway. You could pick up the pieces right from where you left off with that particular storyline. Adding Christian and adding Big Show doesn't really enhance the overall storyline on Monday night. You're just doing for the sake of doing to fill TV time because you have an initiative and an agenda to maybe get some bigger names on the show. Yeah, we'll use the Big Show in an effort to increase ratings. Meanwhile, all you're doing is driving people away. All you're doing is showing people that you're not about the future, you're about the past, and that's all you give a shit about. Fuck everybody else that we have that's youthful and young and exciting and vibrant. Fuck it, we'll bring back a Big Show. I'm thinking it's either Mysterio, Dominic, or Rollins himself. Again, don't quote me on that. It could be anybody. But what storyline on Monday Night Raw, if described the way that Ringside News described it, what storyline on Monday Night Raw cannot continue without a superstar? I think it's pretty obvious, folks. I think it's pretty damn obvious. Now, we don't know if the name is going to come out. We don't know if WWE is going to release a statement. We don't know if said superstar is going to release a statement. WWE acts like they are above what's going on. They want to hide in this fabricated world where the COVID-19 doesn't exist. They want to act like they live in a world where everything is just rainbows and sunflowers and cold beer. That's what they want to pretend to be in. Meanwhile, AEW on Dynamite, they're giving you the reality of the situation. Jon Moxley didn't show up on Dynamite because he was in contact with somebody that had COVID-19. QT Marshall, not on Dynamite because he was in contact with somebody that had COVID-19. The tale of two wrestling companies, the tale of two worlds. And it only gets worse. It only gets worse. Now, the company performed a round of drive-through coronavirus testing on Thursday, today, in preparation for Friday and Saturday's tapings. Plans to tape television are still on as of this report. At this time, the only confirmed cases in the company are Renee Young, Adam Pearce, and Kayla Braxton. They've made their positive results public. Braxton thought that she had the virus back in March, and now she has it again, making her second battle with the virus in, what is that, March April, May, June. 4 months. March, April, May, June. 4 months. She had the virus 2 times in 4 months. Kayla Braxton. She has left, since then, left social media. Now, WWE is a public company. Staff, executives, and superstars are dealing with a very real and scary issue with everything that's going on right now outside of the Performance Center. There are a lot of people in WWE right now stressed. Florida, I believe, reported close to 6,000 new cases of COVID-19 in one single day. Now, I don't know how truthful those numbers are. I think anything that you hear, listen, again, you can think what you want about COVID, but you cannot sit here and tell me that those numbers are not inflated. Everything I heard from Cuomo's mouth in New York, I didn't believe a fucking word he said. I didn't believe the amount of people that were hospitalized. I didn't believe the amount of people ill. I don't. I don't believe anything that the mainstream media tells you. Every single number you hear is inflated to strike fear into everybody watching so that they can control you by whatever means they want to control you, whether it's masks, whether it's to stay home, whether it's to close this business down, tell you what you can do and what you can't do, restrictions here, restrictions there, with restrictions, only 25% capacity, so on and so forth. They are controlling this entire country. Do I think people are testing positive? Yes, but I don't think it's at the number that they are reporting. And the more you test, the more you are going to find positive coronavirus outbreaks. So it works hand in hand. The more you test, the more people you will find with the virus. Simple. Now, dozens, and according to Alvarez, it's worse than dozens, have tested positive for CV-19 in WWE. Multiple people in WWE had tested positive. According to Pro Wrestling Sheet, he who shall not be named noted that the people who tested positive were at the Performance Center this week, and that includes in-ring talent. It is not clear when they were tested for the virus or how many of them were wrestlers, but he who shall not be named notes that there are at least 3 positive results this week alone. Now with Alvarez, since this Pro Wrestling Sheet report is saying 24, the 24 number he was verified on, that came from PW Insider. Now on Twitter, Alvarez put out a very vague tweet about what you heard originally is far worse. That was his words exactly on social media. Now, everyone at the PC was tested last week as a developmental wrestler tested positive for the virus. That person's name has not been released. For the first time since the pandemic, WWE allowed non-wrestlers described by the company as friends and family to attend shows at the PC for last week's tapings. All of this comes as Florida is seeing a record number of new cases reported each day, with close to 6,000 new cases being reported on Wednesday. WrestlingNews.co was told last week that WWE still had hopes of running SummerSlam with fans in attendance in Boston. But these positive tests will raise serious doubts on those SummerSlam plans. WWE then released a statement to CBS Sports. WWE will continue COVID-19 testing of its talent, production, crew, and employees in advance of TV productions for the foreseeable future. They will continue CV-19 testing of its talent after you got ousted, after you found out one of your Performance Center trainees had tested positive. Now you want to go and test the talent and test the staff and test production and everybody that is working out of that building. Now you want to test. And I said it last week, and I'm going to say it again. After every story you read, after every story that you heard, all WWE had to do was fucking administer a test to everybody that entered the building. Every single taping. Everybody should have been tested. All they had to do was test. And we would not be sitting here with the fucking thought of WWE canceling their TV program because now there's a company-wide outbreak on its roster. All they had to do was test. It's amazing. The simplest of things these inept clowns cannot do. Friday Night SmackDown. They're supposed to tape today. They're supposed to tape. As you guys listen to this, they're probably taping now. They're probably taping now. SmackDown needs to be rewritten, since some wrestlers would not be able to appear due to the positive tests. That does not include the people that just don't want to show up. We don't know. We don't know. So Friday night's going to be looking a little different than what was originally planned. Last week was the first time that WWE invited friends and family to attend the tapings at the Performance Center. Going forward, they will not be inviting friends and family to the future of the shows that happen outside the Performance Center. During the pandemic, it will be interesting to see how they can pull off a taping on Friday, given the news this week. And again, we don't know. We don't know. WWE didn't even inform their roster. They didn't even inform the talent performing on those shows that friends and family would be in attendance. This is the negligence of WWE towards its performers. They didn't even notify the roster that there would be outside people that they never seen or met before in the building, upping the risk of what's happening inside that Performance Center as they perform. What company does that? What company operates at that type of level where you don't even inform people of what's going on before they are set to go out there and perform in front of these said people? You're inviting people into their workspace. You'd think that the roster would be the first ones to know or be informed that, listen, we got extra people in the crowd today to make the show a little bit more lively. You'd think that they would be notified. Not one single peep. Not one. Were these people tested? Were they given any type of test whatsoever, independent or through WWE? Who were these people traced to? We don't know. Where have these people been? Were they out? Were they at a restaurant? How many people did they come in contact with? We don't know. Come on in. Come on in. We'll take your temperature. We'll see if you're of proper temperature to enter the building. We'll do the old method. Hey, honey, am I hot? Can you feel my head? Do I have a little bit of a fever? Taking fucking forehead temperatures at the door. Yeah, you're good to go. You're good to go. You're good to watch pro wrestling tonight. No masks. Fuck the masks. Masks are not allowed in the building. They're not allowed in the building, man. I need to see everybody's teeth. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. So friends and family, they were allowed, and now they will not be inviting the friends and family back. Friends and family could be there. Again, it all circles back to the beginning, folks. If they fucking tested. AEW's got friends and family. You don't hear anybody coming out of AEW's tapings with COVID. They got friends and family in the fucking crowd. Tons of them. Whether they're friends and family or just regular fans that they allowed into the building, they're there. Why? Because they're administering tests. There are wrestlers who are very unhappy with the company right now because of the feeling the friends and family, the news of friends and family, should have never even been a thing. They should have never even been at the tapings last week, and more should have been done to protect the staff and talent. There will still likely be NXT Performance Center recruits in the crowd acting as fans, and many people are of the belief that those shown at ringside for the shows should be wearing face masks. Now, I watched NXT last night. You're better off not even having people stand behind the plexiglass. The amount of people that were there, it just looks like WWE is just forcing these people to stand there for the sake of standing there just to make it look good on television. The amount of noise that came out of NXT last night was probably one of the reasons that I thought it was a terrible show last night. Outside of the triple threat main event with Keith Lee, Finn Balor, and Johnny Gargano, the amount of noise that happened with those standing there being put at risk, it was as if there was nobody there. If they're not making noise and they're not enhancing the show to be better, why the fuck are they there? No, but there are still performance center talents being asked to come to the show. Ridiculous. A new ruling in Orange County actually mandates that anyone who leaves their house should be wearing a face mask, with the exception of those doing exercise. However, according to one report, WWE higher-ups feel as if the ruling doesn't apply to them. So WWE upper management thinks that they are above the law. Yeah, we're in with Trump and the administration. We're good. We're good. Yeah, we got a doctor's note here from Trump and the White House. We're good to go. Are you fucking serious? Listen, we're both on the same level. We're both human beings. We're all human beings here. Motherfucker, if you have to wear a face mask, I have to wear a face mask. If I have to wear a face mask, you have to wear a face mask. If we all have to wear face masks, then wear the fucking face mask! No, but WWE, we went over this last week. We went over this last week. WWE doesn't want face masks in the building. WWE doesn't want face masks on TV because they want to create this world where it's presented on TV as if it's safe to come back to the show. If you see someone wearing a face mask, then when things get back to normal, if they ever do, at this rate, they will never be back to normal. If you see someone or a group of people or all these talents wearing face masks, then how likely are you, when things get back to normal, how likely are you of going to a show? If everybody's wearing a face mask, you're not going to take your child, your husband, your wife, your dog, your kids, the cat, the fucking family to a WWE show, because at that point you'll be risking everybody getting COVID and risking everybody's health just to go watch mediocre, below average pro wrestling presented by World Wrestling Entertainment that you could watch in the comfort of your own home. Why be annoyed sitting there putting your health at risk when you could be annoyed and safe in your own home? It's kind of silly. According to Dave Meltzer on the latest Observer Live, WWE higher-ups are of the belief that the company doesn't need to have fans wearing face masks because they film on their own property. The WWE Performance Center, in an enclosed set. Meanwhile, AEW Dynamite, they're outside at Daly's place. WWE is inside. So that's a risk right there. How does this make any sense? Higher-ups are of the belief that the company doesn't need to have fans wearing face masks not because of whatever reason. The reason is because they film on their own property. Because you film on your own property, fuck everybody's health and well-being. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what I'm hearing here? Dave Meltzer says, WWE told me the rule where everyone who leaves their house, unless they're exercising, has to wear masks. They believe as of this week for Friday's tapings, they believe that it does not apply to them because they operate in a private facility. That is what I was told. Wow. Man, I don't even know what to say, really. I really don't. So you can't wear a face mask because they film on their own property. They film in a private facility. What the fuck does that have to do with anything regarding someone's health? I'm struggling to understand here. Again, I am not for the face masks. I hate wearing them. I think they are a burden. I think they are nothing more than a tool for fear-mongering. I get it. But if you gotta wear a fucking mask to go do something, then wear the fucking mask. If you gotta go to Walmart, you can't enter Walmart without a fucking face mask. You got to go to Best Buy to go get your phone fixed, like I got to go get my phone fixed next week because my screen doesn't operate correctly. I got to wear a fucking face mask. To go to Target, you got to wear a face mask. To go into the pet store to buy your fucking cat and dog and bird and fucking snake food, whatever the fucking case may be, you got to wear a goddamn face mask. It's not mandatory outside where I live. It's only recommended. So that means I'm not wearing a fucking face mask. And I'm not wearing a face mask in 90-degree heat. I doubt the virus can survive in 90-degree heat. Wear the fucking face mask if you're entering the building. Have the face masks mandatory to keep your employees safe. How much do the face masks work? I don't know. I'm not a fucking scientist. I doubt they do much to prevent anything. But show the fucking people that are working for the goddamn company that you legitimately care. And don't act like God. You do not have the right to tell someone what to do when it comes to their own health. You don't. Give me a break. Listen to this, Jim. WWE executive says, the health and safety of our superstars is paramount. John Brody, a WWE executive, says the health and safety of our superstars is paramount. Now, the only thing paramount that I know of is John Taffer and Bar Rescue. Anytime there's a Bar Rescue marathon on, I'm watching. Love me some John Taffer. But listen to this, folks. I want to tell you right now, if you are angered by what has been said here and what WWE has done, folks, listen to this contradicting garbage that this guy put out. Now, he was interviewed by Sports Hiatus. He is the vice president, the executive vice president of Global Head of Sales and Partnerships, John Brody, WWE executive. He explained that WWE puts the health of their superstars first and foremost, and it's paramount. Then it was explained that Vince McMahon feels WWE has a social responsibility to continue their programming. He stated that WWE is going to put fans first as they do everything possible to stay on the air. The health and safety of our superstars is first and foremost paramount. It comes down to leadership in many ways, which we all know WWE has zero of. Our leader, Vince McMahon, believes we have a social responsibility to put fans first, to help them get a break from what was coming and what we are in the midst of. So, if you guys are actually wondering, man, that doesn't make sense, let me repeat this. Let me repeat this so you guys are on the same page that I am, and how ridiculous these WWE executives, these shills, these suits sound. The health and safety of our superstars is first and foremost paramount. Then he goes on to say, our great leader, Vince McMahon, believes we have a social responsibility to put fans first. So which is it? Which is it? The fans are on first? Or is the roster and the health of your superstars first and foremost paramount? I'm failing to understand here, Mr. John Brody. What you mean exactly? So which one is first and which one is obviously the least important here? Clearly the superstars are least important, being that you haven't fucking tested anybody and now you're shitting in the shitstorm that you are currently in right now. So the roster is not first by the actions that your company has taken in this entire situation. I'll tell you why. This is a simple situation. I'm a fan, okay? I am a fan first and foremost. Mr. John Brody, Vince, Bruce, Dunn. Ooh, yeah, I'm a fan, okay? No matter how anybody in that company thinks of me or what people in the community think of me, I am a fan. This is what I'm going to tell everybody. As a fan, the fucking thing that is most important, the thing that is first and foremost paramount is the fucking health of the goddamn performers on the show. Fuck the fans. That's what needs to be said. As a fan, the health and the support of the superstars, the health and the regard of the superstars, and the support that they definitely need through this fucking scary time right now because the company's so goddamn negligent. That, from a fan's perspective, is what's important. And I guarantee you, the majority of the audience feels the same way. Contradicting fucking suit and tie who's getting a statement out there because he's a fucking idiot. That's all that means. So, the fans are first, the superstars are first. He doesn't know who's first. What we're in the midst of, helping them get a break. Nobody needs WWE. Nobody needs anything. Nobody needs sports now. Nobody. We're so far along into this thing that we want sports, but we don't need it. Again, I just went over in the beginning. I miss baseball. I didn't need baseball this entire time. I wanted baseball, but I don't need baseball. I want wrestling, but I don't need wrestling. I'm looking at a very old monitor here that I play my games on. It still works. It works great. It does the job. I could go out and buy a fucking $800 Alienware curved monitor and up my fucking gaming setup here exponentially. I want an Alienware curved gaming monitor, but I don't need an Alienware curved gaming monitor while I have something here that gets the job done. I don't need anything. I don't need sports. I don't need baseball. I don't need pro wrestling. I want those things, but I don't need them. This company is absolutely mental. It really is. We have a responsibility to take them away for a few hours and give them a smile and a chance to feel something other than what they're watching, which is also important on the news. We leaned in to say we're going to put fans first and do everything we can working with state, local, and federal officials to make sure it's safe for our most important resource, the WWE superstars, and we're doing whatever we can to deliver content for our partners and our fans. I honestly believe I'm going blind reading this. This is infuriating. We leaned in to say we're going to put fans first, which obviously, I can't tell who's first. The fans are the fucking roster. That's number one. And we're doing everything we can working with state, local, and federal officials to make sure it's safe for our most important resource, the WWE superstar. Yet, you let these people in the building and you told them without a fucking test to not wear masks. There's no social distancing. You invited friends and family into the building. You didn't even inform the roster that friends and family were going to be there. They didn't even find out who tested positive on their own roster until they went on Twitter. Yet this guy says that they're working with state, local, and federal officials to make sure it's safe for our most important resource, the WWE superstar. Bullshit. Bullshit. We're doing whatever we can to deliver the content for our partners. First of all, you're not putting no smile on my face. Your shows are absolutely fucking... It is so garbage. It is eroded into absolutely the worst fucking show humanly possible. It is egregious how you sit there and say this shit. It is egregious how these shows come off weekly and insult our intelligence. That's not even the fucking point right now. This statement is one of the most absurd statements that this company, in all my years, has ever made. Ridiculous. Renee Young. She revealed she has COVID-19. I hope Renee comes back better than ever. She's one of the personalities, genuine personalities on that show that I adore. Renee Young reveals she has COVID-19. Now, the thing with Renee Young is, she was on social media Wednesday night. she said she tested positive for COVID-19, there were questions regarding the status of her husband immediately, Jon Moxley. Dave Meltzer provided an update on the situation during the latest episode of Wrestling Observer Live. Young was symptomatic and feeling sick with the virus, but the good news is that she's doing a lot better now. He was told that the belief is the worst, or is the worst of the virus over for Young. He said yes. So the belief is that the worst of the virus is over for Renee Young. It all started when she lost sense of taste and was later bedridden. While WWE did test everyone who worked the TV tapings last Tuesday, Young's positive test was not administered by WWE. That makes things even worse. That she needed to go and get tested somewhere else, and that WWE's testing was not the one that revealed she was positive. So I thought the testing was supposed to be done on Tuesday with a result given to everybody who was tested on Tuesday on Wednesday. So Renee Young, she had to go get another test to make sure that she, being around the roster, and that we had one positive test, took it in her own hands, took it upon herself to go get tested, and found out she was tested positive because of what happened on Tuesday from WWE. And last Monday, with the PC talent coming down with a positive test, the female superstar from NXT. Meanwhile, WWE had testing Tuesday. They taped SmackDown, right? I believe on Wednesday. And Renee Young could have had whatever she had going on into SmackDown on Friday that she was a part of in the ring with AJ, in the ring with Daniel Bryan, in the ring with Matt Riddle. The entire male roster was out there on Friday. Renee Young, not knowing that she had COVID, did not even get tested by WWE. It was something that she had to go independently and seek. Meanwhile, she could have been sick because, what is it? The virus doesn't really show face maybe 3 or 4 days after the fact. You could have it and not know that you have it, right? And then you take a test and then boom, you're positive. Renee Young, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, she could have been ill, not know it, and look at all of the risk that WWE put forth on Friday. Look at all the risk that WWE put forth on Friday. Are you fucking serious? Are you serious? Then there was a report that WWE tested on Tuesday, and they didn't get any of the test results back until Friday and Saturday of that week. Meanwhile, they tested for the first time because someone got sick. They tested. So they tested everybody. They had everybody wait for results that never came. And they had the tapings on Tuesday and Wednesday anyway, even after testing. And the results for those tests didn't come in until Friday and Saturday of that same week, that weekend. So WWE tested, and nobody knows who was positive. Nobody knows who was negative. And WWE just said, you know what? We tested. Good enough. Now let's go back to work. So they allowed potentially superstars to be on their show, not knowing if they were positive or negative, stemming from this one positive NXT female talent that tested positive. Yet I'm supposed to sit here and be like, everything is good, man. I need pro wrestling. We need WWE. They're doing the right thing for the fans. They're woven into the fabric of society. Why don't you just suck it up and enjoy all the hard work that WWE is bringing you during this time in need? Renee Young. Instead, she had the test done in Las Vegas on Monday after feeling sick. Got the results back late Tuesday night. Didn't WWE tape SmackDown? So Renee Young was asked to come to work knowing. Moxley had been tested, but he came back negative. It should be noted that just because he tested negative. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. She didn't go back. She was in Vegas. So obviously, she didn't go back to Florida with the rest of the crew. But she still could have been sick. She still could have been sick upon taking the test. I don't even know when SmackDown was taped. Was it taped on Tuesday or Wednesday, or was it taped last week? I don't know. But still, if she got the test on Monday, that still gives her 4 days not knowing if she was sick or not. And she was around all those people. So it should be noted that just because Moxley tested negative, Now, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have the virus due to the delay in showing symptoms and testing positive for it. More than likely, Moxley's going to come down with the virus because he's been with his wife. If his wife had it, more than likely he has it. More than likely, Fyter Fest and his match with Brian Cage is going to be off for the AEW Championship. Although Moxley isn't feeling sick, he's staying at the same home as Young. He is in Las Vegas, but they are keeping a distance from each other. The reason for staying home is due to him not wanting to go to a hotel in fear of spreading the virus to other people and not wanting to leave his wife. Tony Khan even came out publicly on social media and said, Jon Moxley is absolutely a great human being, for calling him and telling him, listen, bro, I'm not coming to work. This is what's going on. I'm not going to put anybody at risk. Write me out of the show. Fill me in with somebody else. That's it. So look at that. Look at the beautiful human being that Jonathan Good really is. Tony Khan called him out for his unbelievable ways on social media. As a result of this decision, there's still a chance that he might have it, but he hasn't tested positive for it yet. Right now, he did take a test and it's negative, but we don't know. We don't know. AEW officials will have to wait and see if tests come back positive for the virus, and whether changes will have to be made to Fyter Fest Night 2, where he's slated to defend the AEW Championship against Brian Cage. AEW will tape next week's Fyter Fest Wednesday and Thursday night, with Night 2 airing on July 8th. So, again, if I'm not mistaken, Renee Young and her situation, when the Matt Riddle situation happened, that was already taped. I believe it was taped on that. It might have been taped on that Wednesday or Thursday last week. I'm not really sure when. I don't have it in my notes, and I usually have that that minor information detailed here. It might have been taped, but then you go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then she gets tested and she gets the results back Tuesday that she's positive. Now, is there any way that who she was around and who she was in the ring with and what segment she was on SmackDown with Bryan and Styles and Riddle and the entire roster, is there any way that any of these guys do not come out of this positive? I don't know, man. It is a very, very, very tricky situation, a scary situation right now in WWE. Kayla Braxton also revealed she tested positive for COVID twice. She actually took to her official Twitter account, and she revealed that she tested positive for the virus back in March, which was when the U.S. started locking down after spikes of the virus. Braxton also noted how people can get the virus again after having it the first time. She wrote the following on Twitter: was keeping it quiet, but since everyone else is sharing, I feel like it's my responsibility to share this PSA. You can get COVID-19 more than once. I had it back in early March, and then I thought I was invincible after I recovered. Not true. Don't be dumb like me. End quote. As noted, WWE will continue to test people for the virus at every taping. This comes after it reportedly was out there that those in the company have said it was over 12 people who have tested positive for the virus as of this report. So that's over 24 right now, from 12 to 24, possibly, according to Alvarez. With Alvarez, again, I have to reiterate, saying the original report of a dozen or more that's tested positive is much worse than what was originally reported. Crazy. Adam Pearce was another one. Producer Adam Pearce noted on Twitter that he's also tested positive for COVID-19. Pearce is one of the many people in the company who tested positive this week. Last night, on Wednesday, it's Thursday now as I record this for you guys on Friday. Wednesday, Renee Young announced. That's when he did it as well. WWE has not confirmed how many people tested positive, but he did say that it was his birthday week and he did not really anticipate having his birthday celebration while testing positive for COVID-19. So that's that. Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens pulled himself off of WWE TV, and the reason why is, again, I need to reiterate this because WWE, they didn't really give him a hard time about staying home and going home, but Kevin Owens has confirmed the reason behind his decision to remove himself from WWE programming as he missed Monday's episode of Raw. The former Universal Champion did so during an appearance on today's WWE The Bump, where he noted that he decided it was a wise move to stay with his family after a developmental talent has tested positive for COVID-19. Owens traveled with his family to Tennessee and is staying in a cabin with his family. He says this, and I quote, "I mean, I'm great. I'm always great. Due to the circumstances that happened over the last week, the positive coronavirus test that happened in the company, I thought it was wiser for me to stay with my family that day. I told the people in charge of my decision, and they didn't even flinch. They were like, okay, that's it." You know, there's no pushback. I mean, I don't think there would be pushback on anybody. But also, they know once I make up my mind, that's the way it's going to be. They were respectful of my decision. I'm glad that I took it and I figured it, to be the best thing for my family. End quote. Now, this was obviously a report that happened before he actually made his appearance on the bump, where Meltzer reported that Owens' wife and her grandfather passed away from COVID-19 in the past couple of weeks. As a result, the belief is that the combination of the death in the family and the talent testing positive, Owens was concerned about his family and he didn't want to bring home anything to his wife and his kids. So he opted, you know what? I'm not dealing with this. This is a positive test here. It may be one, we don't know how many more. I'm staying home with the wife and the kids, and I'll come back to work when everything is good to go. So that is the reason why Kevin Owens pulled himself off WWE TV, and the official statement that he finally gave after Meltzer reported that the reason why he stayed home was because his wife's grandfather passed away. So those two reports coincide with what Kevin Owens said on the bump publicly. There really isn't any more. I'm going to do a quick live here, a quick look at anything that might have broken here. We have, oh man, what is this? WWE's next pay-per-view has been renamed to Extreme Rules, The Horror Show. Are you fucking serious? What is this? Let me read this here. Totally unexpected here. This is coming from, what is this, WrestleVotes? WWE has updated their preview page for Extreme Rules, and the show is now being referred to as Extreme Rules, The Horror Show. Here's what is written at the end of the preview for the match between Raw Women's Champion Asuka and Sasha Banks. Will Banks become a double champion, or will Asuka continue to reign supreme on the red brand? Find out at Extreme Rules, The Horror Show, streaming Sunday, July 19th on the award-winning WWE Network. The same tagline is used everywhere else on the preview page. It's not clear what horror show refers to. I have an inkling as to what it fucking refers to. Monday Night Raw and SmackDown are fucking horror shows, so why not? Why not really take that and apply it to their pay-per-view? It's probably going to be the same shit anyway. So, nobody knows what this refers to. Based on current storylines, it looks like Braun Strowman will defend his Universal Championship against Bray Wyatt once again. That could be a cinematic match in a cinematic setting. We don't know. I'm assuming that's what's going to be. As of now, the only matches announced are Asuka and Sasha Banks and Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler. Other matches for the show that are likely are Randy Orton, Big Show, and Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt. So that is what's shaping up for Extreme Rules. My entire intent to look at the fucking dirt sheets here live was to see if there was any more COVID news. Nothing really. Nothing. That's it. That's the gist of it right now. No more new names reported. I'm sure I'll have an update and a follow-up on Saturday's episode of Off the Script. Listen, guys. Listen. I know that I'm hard on WWE, but like I said before, I think everybody is in agreement that our priority as fans is the roster. Now, they can go on and say that the fans are the top priority and that the health and well-being of the roster is paramount, contradicting themselves back and forth. From my mouth to your ears, my main concern, my top priority, is the roster and everybody's health and safety. WWE is negligent. WWE is fucking negligent, and it's disgusting. They don't realize how they're embarrassing themselves. They don't realize what type of reputation they have now in the wrestling world, how it's tarnished, how they've embarrassed all of that. I mean, if you are a young talent and things get back to normal, if you're a young talent, and I'm going to use some of my House of Glory family as a example here. If you are a Ken Broadway, or you are a Charles Mason, or you are an anybody in any independent promotion, someone coming out of Ring of Honor, someone coming out of MLW, someone coming out of whoever, Progress, whatever. If you are one of these top-tier talents looking to break it in to a WWE or an AEW, where are you going to go? Are you going to want to live out your childhood dream and go to WWE knowing how they handle this entire situation? Or are you going to go where everybody is openly praising Tony Khan for the way he's handled all this situation? The fact that he's administering tests every single time they enter that building for everybody while he has it under control. Are you going to go risk your life for people that don't give a single shit about you or your family? How WWE is so negligent for these people to administer tests and then tell them to go back on camera and perform and get these shows done without knowing who's positive and who's negative. Allowing these people to work there in an unsafe environment to take possibly whatever is there home to their families and infect everybody in their family. That's a company that cares about you? That's a company that gives a shit about your well-being and your family's well-being. Now, granted, we don't know everybody's situation. We might have people in the company that don't really mind what's going on. And I would be safe to say that there are people in the company that don't mind what's going on, that they think it's overblown, and they want to be on TV because they need the job, they need the money, they want the spotlight. They could use this as career advancement for them. I'm going to use a guy like Ricochet, for example. I believe Ricochet as a kid. Maybe he's a bad example. I'm going to use somebody like Humberto Carrillo. I don't know his backstory. I'm using him as an example. Say Humberto doesn't have a wife or kids, and he's a single guy on the road with WWE, and he's living out his dream. Meanwhile, everybody else on the roster's going down. They're going home, right? He's got family at home saying, you know what, Humberto? Maybe this is good for your career. We understand that you want to go and work, and I support you in going to work because you could use this to further and advance your career. This could be good for you. Now, a family guy like Roman Reigns or Kevin Owens or Randy Orton, guys like that, they don't need that. They could say, WWE, listen, I'm staying home. I'm not coming back until things get right. I'm not coming back until you start taking things serious, until things are better here. So yes, there are people that don't want to be there, but at the same time, there are people that might not really take what's going on as all that serious, and they're going to use it as far as career advancement. But man, oh man, it's like WWE is almost acting like God. They're trying to do the right thing because they got caught. They're trying to do the right thing now because someone tested positive. And even when they found out someone tested positive, they're still being lenient and greedy and negligent with all the proper protocol just to benefit their bottom line, just to benefit their TV shows, just to get shows on USA Network and on Fox for the sake of their TV contracts without really caring about what's the end result could possibly be. And in this case, catastrophic. I don't really understand how an employer can do that to their employee. Nothing matters to these people. The lying, the no masks, the contradicting statements that they put out there. Our top priority is paramount with the roster. The fans are first. It can't be both. It can't be both. Look at Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns looks like a fucking Nobel Peace Prize winner after all this. He looks like the smartest man in the history of mankind for walking away when he did. Not coming back since. If WWE had someone like Roman Reigns walk out of their company for exactly what's going on now, for reasons that's going on now inside the Performance Center and has not come back yet. If WWE did not fix their mentality and didn't adjust their protocol with someone like that going out, Are you surprised where we are right now? I know I'm not. You would think with somebody that holds a high position of power like that in WWE, like a Roman Reigns, that they would have taken that and said, you know what? I think we need to start doing the right thing. I think we need to start testing to ensure everybody's safety. Even when Roman is gone, they're still being lackadaisical with everything. And now we are where we are. If I was the WWE roster, and I mean this wholeheartedly, I don't know who the fuck's listening to me. Could be some people. They could listen anonymously. I don't know. I don't give a shit. I do this because I love it. But if there's somebody listening to me, I'm telling you, from fan to performer, you are my top priority. What I would do if I had any sort of power in that company, knowing what's going on with all the positive testing and the dozens and dozens and dozens, according to Alvarez, it's worse than what was originally reported. If I am a top guy with some pull there, I'm going right to management and saying, I'm leaving. And I would collect a ton of that locker room all at the same time and say, we're going home. We are going to quarantine. We're going to get tested, and we're going to sit home. And WWE would be forced to close the tapings down and put the entire company, a company-wide World Wrestling Entertainment fucking staff, in quarantine until things get better. They cannot fire you all. Push their fucking buttons. Push their backs against the wall. They can't operate the show without you. They can't. If you have enough top guys in that company to do the right thing and do what Roman set for you guys, he laid the foundation for you to walk away. If you have enough top guys in that company to do what Roman did all at the same time, these shows cannot exist. They can't. It would make everybody's life easier. If a ton of top guys in that company did what Roman did, then it's going to make it easier for everybody else to walk away as well. Everybody underneath you, the mid-card and the lower-end guys. Everybody wanted to release their own stories with the speaking out movement. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. All it takes is one. All it takes is one. One spoke out, and then we had a sea of stories all through the week, still continuing today. All you need is one. Roman was that one. I'm waiting for the next guy to come forward and join Roman and that trickle-down effect to start pushing WWE's back against the wall. They should be ashamed of themselves. Their reputation, as far as I'm concerned, is ruined. Who would want to work for these fucking people knowing that your life is not even important? The only thing that is important is this, the money, and your TV contracts, and your show that right now nobody is watching, that nobody has any interest in. Why would you sign with these fucking people? Once upon a time, working for the WWE was the American dream in pro wrestling. Now the American dream is staying alive. You're going to go work for somebody that actually gives a shit about your life and respects you as a human being, or you're going to go to a place where clearly you're nobody but a fucking number. I want to thank you guys for getting this far along with me on the podcast today. And the video today is brought to you by my good friends over at the Ridge Wallet. Man, I'm loving my Ridge Wallet this summer. It's great, it's light, it's sleek, it's industrial. It doesn't fold awkwardly and bulge in my back pocket. It seriously changed my entire outlook on my wallet situation. Most people are still using wallets designed in the 90s, carrying around old receipts, gift cards, hotel room keys, pictures that are dated 30 years ago. Nobody needs any of that. Only the essential and unorganized mess is what I call it. Why have we moved on from large flip phones to smartphones but still carry around the same old decrepit wallet in our pockets? Now, here are the features that I want to highlight to you guys and what I love most about the Ridge. It holds up to 12 cards, plus room for cash. You got a strap or a money clip, optional. Either one is fine. There's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and titanium. I have the forged carbon. I think it looks absolutely phenomenal. I love it. I really love it, but don't take my word for it. There's over 30,000 five-star reviews on the Ridge wallet alone. The durable materials means each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. You could buy one and own it for the rest of your life. And they're so confident that you will like the Ridge wallet that they will let you test drive it for 45 days. You could send it back for full refund if you don't love it. Now, I love the fact that it has RFID blocking qualities. I love the fact that I have my cards and my ID safe and secure. And I love that my wallet looks great every time I pull it out of my pocket, man. It doesn't scratch, it doesn't bend, it doesn't fold. And I know for a fact that when I pull it out, anywhere I go, it's the best looking wallets in the entire building. Guys, you can get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping. Yes, free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout for 10% off. Make sure you guys go and get one today. Feel good about your wallet situation, and there's no better way to fix that situation than the Ridge. Ridge.com/script. Man, I really don't even want to talk about the speaking out movement anymore because it's just more depressing situations on top of more depressing situations with all of the COVID stuff coming out of the Performance Center. But there were more news articles that broke, more people speaking out, more emails leaked, more audio uncovered, etc., etc. It's just too much to handle, man. Sammy Guevara, seemingly canceled. I don't think so, but he was. It looked like he was canceled by cancel culture this week on Twitter. Now, we talked about this on Wednesday. We talked about it on the AEW Dynamite review. Jesse and I, AEW wrestler Sammy Guevara, had been trending worldwide on Twitter due to previous comments that were disturbing about Sasha Banks. In an interview on a podcast I will not be mentioning here because they're a bunch of fucking hacks. They are completely god-awful, and they do nothing but elicit this type of behavior and verbiage on their show. Back in January 2016, Guevara was talking about how Banks and Becky Lynch had lost to Charlotte Flair. This is when he recalled working as an extra for WWE at a taping in Texas and stated regarding Banks, "I wanted to just go fucking R-word that woman." The R-word meaning you guys know what. I'm not going to be reiterating it here because the YouTube gods will strike me down. I wanted to just go fucking R-word that woman. End quote. So clearly there were a bunch of instigators online that took this clip and threw it around social media. As of this writing, Banks commented on the situation in the best way possible. Guevara first broke his silence on the matter, issuing the following statement on his official Twitter account, and I quote, "I've made stupid, inappropriate, and extremely offensive comments in my past. In my idiotic mind, I thought I was being funny in using words and terms that represent nothing but horror and pain. I am truly sorry for my hurtful words and actions, and I will never forgive myself." End quote. Sammy G has since apologized to everyone, including Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks then posted a statement following the apology that was issued by Sammy Guevara, and this is what she wrote, and I quote, "Earlier, I spoke with Sammy. He apologized and we had an open discussion. Words like the comments he made, joking or not, have absolutely no place in our society. I don't condone or tolerate this kind of behavior. What one thinks is just a side comment can have a massive impact on someone else's life and can send the wrong message. We have to hold ourselves accountable for our actions and the words we say, and I hope that this situation shows that. I hope from this point on, in order for growth and change within our community to take place, we all can continue to have these conversations. No person, man, woman, or child should ever be subjected to feeling of fear or in an unsafe environment. We all have to do better, not just for ourselves, but for generations to come. Signed, sincerely, Mercedes Varnado." So she spoke as herself. But I mentioned this on the podcast on Wednesday with Jesse, that if there is a moniker that WWE gave to a performer, in this case Sasha Banks, legit boss, that is what a legit boss, in the most, I guess, cringe, this is in the most fucking reverse cringe-like way possible. Because I don't really like that term, legit boss. She's the legit boss, right? She handled this situation like a legit boss. No question. After the Sasha Banks apology, All Elite Wrestling issued a statement on Sammy Guevara. They say this, and I quote, AEW insists on doing our part to create a world of understanding and respect for humankind. We therefore strongly condemn the extremely offensive and hurtful words of Sammy Guevara. AEW said in a statement, Sammy has agreed to undergo extensive sensitivity training, and upon completion, his future status within the company will be evaluated. That's that. It ended, and AEW took care of it. I said this on Wednesday, I'm going to say it again. Context is key. I'm not saying what Sammy said was right. I'm not saying here defending Sammy Guevara in any which way. I think what he said was vile. I think he said the absolute worst that could be said when it comes to respecting a woman. Never in my life have I ever used that word, the R word, in association with what I think or feel or find in a woman to be attractive. I would never elicit an act like that on a woman, period. It was disgusting. And again, I reiterate, because someone's going to take this out of context, and I'm sure they're going to blow it up on social media. I do not condone what Sammy Guevara did. In fact, I agree with what AEW did. They took him off TV. They put him in a sensitivity training of some sort, and they will evaluate him upon completion. Done. Done. Sasha Banks could have went about this the same way that Alexa Bliss went about my situation, where I got thrown under the bus. She went about it in a respectful way. She knows the power that she wields on social media. She knows the fucking creeps and the fucking scum that are infatuated with her. The legions upon legions of fans that are infatuated with this woman. They know the power that they wield. Sasha does. And she knows what her fan base is capable of if she gives the signal to attack. But I don't really see that in Sasha. I don't see that to be her mentality when it comes to things like this. She could have did that. She could have did what Alexa did to me. But she didn't. She went about it in a respectful way. Put out a statement. She spoke to Sammy. We don't know if she accepted his apology or not. I would assume so. If they spoke. Now, Sammy has to deal with the consequences like a grown man. But she went about it in the most respectful way possible, to a point where I love that woman even more so now and respect her even more than I did originally. This is a situation that is dead and over. You can talk about not doing it and being better. Great. But this situation between them is over. I don't want to hear about it again. And nobody's talking about the situation that the show that he was on, the show that Sammy was on, the podcast that invited him to be on, that allowed him to say these words. They elicit this behavior more so than any other podcast in the fucking community. They are trash. They're trash. So of course, Sammy's going to say shit like that. We don't know what his mentality was going into this show 4 years ago. Was that Sammy acting like Sammy? Or was that Sammy acting in a way to fit in to the audience, to make himself feel cool, to fit in with the podcast that he's on? I don't think that Sammy is what Sammy was on that show. I don't. I honestly think Sammy is the complete opposite of what we've seen and heard on that show. It's over. And now that this is my platform, this is my forum to speak, where was the rest of the WWE roster to come to Sasha Banks' defense when Sammy said this word? Huh? Where was everybody else? Where was the backup for Sasha Banks in this situation? I didn't really see many. I didn't see many people come forth. Alexa Bliss came forth, believe it or not. Said that Sasha handled the situation beautifully. Makes me have a little shred of respect for Alexa Bliss, even though I think she's not really a nice person. And then we had Rhea Ripley come out and say something about that word and about that situation. But she didn't really mention Sasha Banks, directly. She didn't tweet at Sasha. But everybody came to Alexa's defense when I made a joke that should not have been said. when I made a joke that was nothing more than a joke that was horribly timed, I admit, and should not have been said, I admit, and I tried to be edgy, and I shouldn't have. So why didn't everybody come to Sasha's defense when this situation was 1,000 times worse than what I said? Where was everybody for Sasha's defense, but you all want to jump on me and jump on my back, and the roster wants to beat me up, and Sonya Deville wants to drop me, and Big Show wants to join in, and Braun Strowman says I eat nothing but Hot Pockets, and I'm a fucking smart Mark virgin. Everybody came at me, though. So where was everybody else for Sasha Banks? I want to know. Hypocrites. Every single one of them. Hypocrites. I have even less respect for most of that roster than I did in my situation. Unreal. It's over. It really is over. Sammy will be fine. Nobody should be calling for his fucking job. You are not God. Social media is not the end-all, be-all. You don't have the power to take someone's livelihood away. I'm sorry, social media degenerate. It's over. You are just as bad as what Sammy said if you're calling for his job and for AEW to terminate him. You are just as bad. You elicit the same mentality and the same behavior that Sammy Guevara did in that ridiculous clip of him saying that word to Sasha Banks. But these people aren't human beings. Context is key. I got the context. I got what Sammy was trying to say. It shouldn't have been said, but I got what he tried to say. It should not have been said. My grandpa loved peanuts, cocktail peanuts, Planters cocktail peanuts, and fucking Lipton iced tea. That was his go-to every single time. Every single time he came home from work. I was planted right there in the living room watching fucking cartoons after school. If my grandpa ever realized I used that word to describe a woman, he would have my balls in his Lipton iced tea. Seriously. The one thing my grandpa told me is that when you find a good woman, you respect her. And you do everything to keep her happy. That is what he told me. This is a shitty situation. He will be fine. He will be better for it. And I don't know if you are a fan of AEW's decision or not, but at least they did something. At least they took the effort and did something to try and justify how wrong it was. Marty Scurll, on the other hand, responds to speaking out allegations, acknowledges encounter with a 16-year-old. Marty Scurll has issued a statement in response to allegations made against him. He admits the encounter described did happen. Wrestling's speaking out movement now features so many names in terms of those accused that it's become hard to keep track. I'm only keeping track of the biggest names, especially since each case is being treated differently and uniquely by various promotions, as they should be. Some of those accused of wrongdoing have been fired, others have been suspended, while others have had no action taken against them, presumably while investigations are ongoing. Marty Scurll is one of the wrestlers that has become part of the long list of those accused. Scurll is in a position that not many others are in terms of the allegations, as he is one of the few in charge of the promotion he wrestles in right now. Ring of Honor. The allegation made against Scurll claims he tried to coerce a 16-year-old girl into having sex with him after a show in 2015 during which the girl performed oral sex before the pair was found by her friend. Although Scurll admits that the event happened, he doesn't apologize for it, per se, as part of his statement in reaction to the allegations. I understand now that she now views our encounter as part of a bigger problem within the wrestling community, Scurll wrote. He also states that he believes their encounter was consensual, and since the age of consent is 16 in the UK, he doesn't think he acted outside the law. He doesn't think he acted outside the law. He didn't act outside the law, but that doesn't mean he's not a fucking scumbag. I also understand that some people have been attacking her on social media, and I implore you to please stop. The Ring of Honor booker went on to write, Scurll stated that in his, letter here, an open letter to the wrestling community, as it does a statement to the woman who he confirmed to had an encounter with, he pretty much admitted that everything that she said happened. And he didn't really say anything in the first open letter as far as an apology. It was more of the lines of, yeah, what she said is true, so fuck off. What she said was true, but she was of age, so go fuck yourself. Meanwhile, he's a 24, 25, 26-year-old guy, but he is fucking around with a 16-year-old. He actually has a second statement. He has a second statement here. Now, as for what the steps might be in terms of Skrull's situation, nobody really knows. That's up to him and the others that he works with, Ring of Honor, his bosses at Ring of Honor. Judging by the way AEW has reacted to the allegations against certain members of their roster, if there were any plans for Skrull and Ring of Honor in a working relationship of sorts, that right now has been put on ice. On ice. He did release a second statement. In 2015, after a wrestling event in the UK, I had a brief consensual encounter with a woman. In that moment, at a bar, in these circumstances, I had no cause to question her age. I don't say any of this lightly or seek absolution for my ignorance. Although I did not become aware of her age until after the encounter, the reality of the age disparity is not lost on me. I understand that although our encounter was technically legal in the UK, my lack of good judgment that evening has disappointed many fans. This week, the woman I am referencing bravely shared her stories of abuse, and she experienced all this while attending wrestling events during that time period. My name has been included in one of those recollections that she has shared. I can only speak to what I know to be true and my own actions. It is my understanding that this woman continuously supported our sport through her attendance at events, seminars, and training sessions, and as an industry, we failed her. I cannot begin to understand the difficulties she must be experiencing, and in that spirit, I ask you that please respect her privacy. My immediate priority is to seek forgiveness for unknowingly contributing to a culture that far too long has just taken over the industry and hurt many along the way. For those of us with a voice that can reach beyond our own doorsteps, it is our shared responsibility to be better and do more. The system must change to protect the most vulnerable and provide an ecosystem where female fans and athletes can engage and participate safely. The time is now. As a person who has been identified as part of the problem, I unreservedly commit to be a part of the solution. In the very short term, I am looking to work within the industry to create a better security protocol at events to provide a safe environment for all fans. Words are no longer enough. Action is needed. That is his statement. Whether you believe him to be sincere or not, he put something out. Whether you agree with his actions or not, it was legal in the UK, so he's going to continue saying that he was, abiding by the law. But we can all have our own judgment on Marty Scurll, and I honestly do believe that if you are a fan of Marty Scurll, if you were a fan of Marty Scurll before the situation, you are no longer a fan of Marty Scurll. If you are in a situation where you have a daughter at that same age, or you have a daughter growing up that's loving pro wrestling and idolizing the Beckys and the Sashas and the Io Shirai's and the Rhea Ripley's of pro wrestling, right? The Jordan Graces of pro wrestling, the Taya Valkyries, the Deonna Purrazzos of the wrestling industry, right? You have a woman idolizing this and wanting to break into the industry, knowing that monsters like this exist. How the fuck would you feel if your 16-year-old daughter was out being fed alcohol for somebody that holds a position of power in this industry to do nothing but take advantage of her and sexually abuse her and ask her for sexual favors, knowing that she's under the influence and she doesn't know any better because she's under the fucking influence of alcohol? How would you feel? Would you ever let your daughter get into the business? Would you ever let your daughter around people like that? Would you ever let your daughter attend the show? Probably not. Probably not. The way of life is different. The laws are different from here in the States and across the pond. It's different. 16 is of legal age. That doesn't make it right. It's legal in their society, but that does not make it right. Marty Scurll holds a position of power in this business where he is trusted and respected and he broke everybody's trust. He showed everyone the type of monster he is. His mental well-being, his common sense is not there, clearly. He's a monster. It happened in the UK. It's 16 years old. It's legal there. That makes it okay, according to him. If he was here in the United States and he got somebody drunk and he found someone to be attractive or whatnot at that age, he would probably end up doing the same thing. Because he holds a position of power. He thinks he's the shit. Everybody that holds a position of power like Marty Scurll thinks that they have this power to wield, that they're immune. They can do anything that they want. That's not the case. When you hold a position of power, you are to respect that power. And that respect filters down through every fucking rung of that ladder in the company that you work with. Male or female. Marty Scurll is a piece of shit. I am no longer a fan of Marty Scurll, and I know I have a picture of that motherfucker hanging right on the wall there. That shit's coming down. That shit's coming down. And it's not going into the new office space that I'm moving into. I don't know how anybody could deem this okay. Yes, it's legal, but that doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it sit well with people here. This guy is a 25-year-old guy, and you're going for a 16-year-old girl. You mean to tell me he doesn't have the capability with the position that he holds and the power that he holds? He can't go out and get somebody that is of age for himself? Seriously. Wasn't the guy dating Deonna Purrazzo at one point? How do you go from Deonna Purrazzo or go from this to Deonna Purrazzo? How do you switch back and forth? Seriously, I don't even know when this happened. 2015. Wasn't he dating Deonna Purrazzo? And then you somehow mentally sit there and say, having whatever with this 16-year-old is okay. I don't get that mentality. I really don't. It all goes back to the position of power. They don't wield it correctly. They abuse it. And Marty Scurll is an abuser. And I honestly think everybody here in the United States is going to have a different look on Marty Scurll. He is a fucking sleazeball. He is a scumbag. Scumbag. I don't know what else to say. I really don't. There's more. Paige's family, ousted. Wrestling school, closed down. Because emails were leaked proposing favors for career advancement. She closed up shop. The Knight family was called out a part of the speaking out movement. Many accusations of abuse were made during these events. New evidence seemed to further back up those allegations. Ringside News was sent an email to their website from a wrestler from the AWS email account. The email was dated 12/3/2005, suggested that if a wrestler wants to get booked, then they need to sleep with whoever was sending that email. It wasn't clear who the author was, but it wasn't their head booker. See, you've been doing the wrong guys. You should be doing the booker to get booked. I'm assuming this was coming from Paige's mother. I like sexual favors. He. Now, don't get all upset and attitude, for I'm joking with you. But at the same time, I'd fuck you like you've never been fucked before, my friend. Look, it's just like this. I put the book in Adam's hands for the Saturday events, but with the shows that we will be doing on Wednesday night starting in January 2006, I will indeed be booking talent that does not get a push on Saturday show. I don't know the date for that first Wednesday night show yet, but there is another girl around to make a tag team match. End quote. That was the end of the email. This is obviously a disturbing email that has now just come to light. The recipient of the message wishes to remain anonymous at this time. Soraya Knight has responded and left social media. Paige's mother has left social media. She also announced that she's leaving the pro wrestling business entirely following these accusations. Guilty! If you're closing up your promotion and you're leaving the wrestling business and you left social media, you are guilty by association, bro. You are fucking guilty of the crime you are being accused of. Because if you had any shred of fucking dignity and any fucking heart to stand up for yourself, you would have defended yourself. Clearly, you got no defense against this shit. Done. Karma is a bitch. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about Paige and her family. Fans speculate that Matt Riddle has already lost his push on SmackDown due to the speaking out movement, which is not the case, clowns. Matt Riddle will be a big deal in WWE. And Matt Riddle actually came out before any of this was leaked during the Speaking Out movement and told WWE upon his arrival, upon his signing, that he had a stalker. So good for him. Good for him. Matt Riddle was called out. We all know that. He brought in his attorney. We all know that much. Riddle made his debut on SmackDown last week. Obviously, it was exciting. He's in the Intercontinental Championship title picture now with AJ Styles. Some fans thought it was very odd that WWE booked an Intercontinental title match for this week with Drew Gulak getting the shot instead of Riddle. Some fans assumed WWE swapped the former Catchpoint members after allegations were dropped. Ringside News has now learned the plan was AJ and Gulak all along. The IC title match has nothing to do with Riddle's accusations. Some fans are saying Gulak getting the IC title match means Riddle's push is done. The two things have nothing to do with each other. SmackDown will be reportedly scheduled to film on Friday. They don't have the full episode written yet due to various changes with the COVID-19 situation and more people testing positive. Vince McMahon was already calling for multiple rewrites before any of the taping was pushed back due to the CV-19. So we don't even know what the show's going to look like, who's going to be on the show, or how it's going to look like with Vince McMahon now in charge rewriting the show. Since the show isn't written yet, there's no definite way to know if Matt Riddle will lose any type of push on SmackDown. But everybody's losing their shit over Matt Riddle losing his push. Fucking idiots out there. He won against AJ the way he did on Friday. I don't agree with it, but it happened. When do you expect him to get an IC title match? Right away? How about you have a little bit of patience? How about you realize and go back into the fucking history of SmackDown over the last couple weeks that AJ Styles and Drew Gulak had a match, and Drew Gulak beat AJ Styles. And AJ Styles is still feuding with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan now, according to AJ, is in the back of the line, but Drew Gulak has a win over AJ Styles. And Daniel Bryan said, why don't you give my boy Gulak the opportunity since he already beat you? First, I know WWE doesn't get a lot of credit for logic, but in this case, I got to back them up here. Gulak beat Styles before Riddle beat Styles. That doesn't mean Riddle and his push is gone. Give it to Gulak. We'll save it for SummerSlam when it comes to Riddle and AJ Styles. Social media is cancer. Everybody is a complete idiot on social media. They don't think before they go and type. These social justice warriors out there looking for justice, looking for fucking terminations here and fucking firings there. We are God. We are the law-abiding fucking wrestling community. You abide by us or you are fired. They act and bring down the fucking magic wand and poof, everybody's gone when they say so. They're the law and order now. Social media. Matt Riddle ain't going nowhere. In fact, he's going to be the face of that company. He's too talented not to go anywhere. Jack Gallaher erased from WWE completely. Former WWE superstar Jack Gallaher was wiped from WWE.com after his release on Friday completely. Gallagher wrestled Jake Atlas in the main event of 205 Live in a match that was taped early this week, but there's no mention of the match on WWE.com. Gallagher's name also cannot be found in the alumni section of their superstars page, and a blank page comes up if you try to search his name on their website. There's no word yet on what prompted WWE to make a quick decision to fire him, while Velveteen Dream and Matt Riddle are still on the active roster. Brock Lesnar even had a speaking out moment this week because Terry Runnels, Goldust's ex-wife, Dustin Runnels' ex-wife, came out and said that Brock Lesnar flashed his penis at her in 2004. She said, what I seen was not the beast incarnate. Like she's never seen a fucking penis before. Everybody's getting thrown under the bus, folks. Everybody. So that's that. Gallaher, whatever. He wasn't important to WWE anyway. And the fact that they actually went and did all that, everything must be true. Because why would they do that? Could they make an example out of him? Sure. But to go to the lengths to just eradicate him from completely everything, something along those lines, and all of the allegations made, they probably did some investigative work and deemed it to be true. Maybe he even came to them and said, yeah, I got no defense against this. It's true. Goodbye. Done. They eradicated him from history. Who cares? Are you going to remember? Do you care that Jack Gallaher is off TV? Give me a break. I feel bad for him because now his career is fucking done. His career in MMA and everything else that he wanted to pursue in this sport, MMA, done. That's why it's good to have a plan C when things go wrong. Back to the actual wrestling news, folks. Back to the actual wrestling news. WWE Backstage gets canceled. Oh my goodness, man. What am I going to do on my Tuesday night without the satin sheet? Fucking clown. Backstage gets canned. Who gives a shit? Were you watching anyway? I know I wasn't. Folks, Backstage was a good idea. It was a good concept in theory. What WWE did with the show, they made it unbearable to watch. That's the reason nobody watched. Plus, it was on late on Tuesday night. Nobody's staying up late to watch fucking WWE after we just got through with Monday Night Raw. That was fucking nauseating for 3 hours. You want to have people come back around on Tuesday and you want them to relive what happened on Monday on Raw and Friday on SmackDown? Are you fucking mental? So the time slot sucked, the show sucked, and the other thing that this actually proved to everybody is that Phil Brooks and the power of Phil Brooks, the power of CM Punk in a non-wrestling role did not get the job done, bro. The power of Phil Brooks was not enough to keep WWE Backstage on FS1. And at this point, I genuinely don't even care, and I know there are many people in this boat. If CM Punk came back to the WWE or came back to pro wrestling, how much of us would actually care about CM Punk coming back to the WWE or pro wrestling at this point? I'm going to say it's not anywhere close to what it was 3, 4, 5 years ago. WWE Backstage gets canceled. CM Punk and the addition of him to the show was meant to boost ratings, but apparently the numbers were not enough to keep the show on much longer. Tuesday's episode of Backstage will be a rerun. A rerun. And there are currently no plans for any first-run shows, but the door is open to special episodes in the future. Fox Sports issued the statement to Post Wrestling on their decision to pull WWE Backstage from weekly production. Today, we announced programming changes designed to better address the needs of our business. As a result, some positions in our production department have been eliminated. CM Punk was brought in on board a few months ago to help boost the ratings for the show, but they never got over 200,000 viewers since their 11 p.m. debut last November, and several shows drew less than 100,000 viewers. WWE gave their blessings to Fox to hire Punk for the show, but there were people in management not too thrilled with Punk taking shots at WWE on social media, and the company stopped promoting his appearances during Raw and SmackDown. You got a lot of other things to be worried about than fucking CM Punk, motherfucker. I'll tell you that right now. CM Punk served as the co-host alongside Renee Young, who we all love. During a recent video that was posted on his YouTube channel, Booker T discussed the show ending. He says this: WWE Backstage, we got the news that we're not going to be shooting a weekly series, not right now anyway. I want to thank everybody on the Fox family crew and making it work for 8 months. It was an awesome 8 months. Hopefully, the project will be a little different moving forward and going to do something digital. We don't know just yet, just waiting right now. He thanked everybody for putting the show together and the support that it received in addition to being able to give him a platform to talk about WWE. A show like that is something needed to be able to deliver that side of insight. He continued by talking about Bret Hart's appearance on the show last week and saying that he wished he would have stayed in WWE instead of joining WCW. Apparently, according to Booker T, his story is something that needs to be heard by people. He stated that he hopes he'll be back on track soon and doing it again. He added that he wishes they could have done things differently at certain times, such as taking an approach to the view and its format. So there you go, folks. A failure of a show was WWE Backstage. I watched one episode, maybe. 2 episodes. I think I watched the first CM Punk episode, and then I watched the Seth Rollins episode. And that was it. And after that, I didn't watch anything. How could I? Why would I? I don't need WWE Backstage to get my fill of WWE programming. The fuck do I need? CM Punk was the only reason to watch, and even he didn't help that. So it's done. Good. Good. Now maybe they can concentrate on doing something about Friday Night SmackDown, because that show fucking sucks. The ratings for Friday night, they're in. Friday SmackDown drew an average of 2.089 million viewers, according to Showbuzz Daily. Hour 1 drew 2.147 million viewers, then Hour 2 went down to 2.031 million viewers. SmackDown continues to take place from the Performance Center, clearly in Orlando. It'll be there for the foreseeable future. SmackDown also drew an average of 0.5 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic, which was tied for number one in the night. And if the number holds up, it would be a 1.2% in viewership from last Friday's episode of SmackDown, which drew an average of 2.065 million viewers with a 0.5 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. SmackDown was number 6 for the night amongst the network viewership. It came in behind Juneteenth, a celebration, 2020, MacGyver, Magnum P.I., and All Rise. A rerun of Magnum P.I. topped the night at 3.395 million viewers. Basic TV sucks. I'll tell you that right now. My God. You couldn't pay me to watch anything on fucking TV. That was SmackDown, folks. SmackDown recap, quickly. AJ Styles, Matt Riddle. I went over the fact that I did not like it. I fucking loathe the fact that Matt Riddle comes in and automatically gets a shot at the Intercontinental Champion and the championship. I don't like it. Yes, it builds up a new star. Yes, it gets him in the mainstream eyes. It gets him in the mouths of everybody talking. Whether it's good or bad, whether you like him or hate him, it doesn't matter. I would have had him go up against others and build himself up and then get a championship opportunity. The same old formulaic shit needs to die in WWE. I cannot take the fucking company rinsing and repeating the same method to bring people to shows. The same method to give people title shots. I can't stand it. I can't take it anymore. It happens on every show with every single fucking pay-per-view because they're too lazy to build anybody else up. You couldn't give us Drew Gulak versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship. You had to give us Matt Riddle. And AJ Styles just won the Intercontinental Championship. Having him lose his first match out of the tournament after him claiming that this is the one title he's never held, how does that make him look? Yes, he's taken a lot of losses, but that doesn't really mean anything for AJ. He's kind of bulletproof at this point. Even after watching the Undertaker documentary, he's bulletproof. So having him lose to Matt Riddle really didn't do much for me at all. In fact, it shows WWE's inability to create. It shows the inability of these people to take what happens on TV and make it matter. Because they're so fucking lazy. They're in the now. They're thinking about the now instead of thinking about building. They want everything to happen now. That mentality needs to die. It really does. Chad Gable defeated Mojo Rawley. Who gives a shit? The New Day versus the Lucha House Party. I think both teams are incredibly talented, but the Lucha House Party are in this thing because the Forgotten Sons are off TV. They may be getting a repackaging. We don't know when. We don't know what. We don't know if Jackson Riker's going to be involved, but Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler are now taking the brunt of Jackson Riker's foolishness. And they have no tag teams. Thus, the New Day versus the Lucha House Party. Now, if WWE actually made these teams mean something on TV, then this match would mean something. But at the end of the night, it doesn't mean nothing. It's just another fucking match to fill on TV. Sasha Banks versus Nikki Cross. Lexi! Come on, Lexi! Sasha Banks wins. What'd you expect? And that was pretty much it. And then Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman. Follow the buzzards, man. Follow the buzzards, man. I gotta go back, man. To where we all started, man. The Black Sheep, Braun Strowman, man. So, Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt, they did not go with The Fiend. You're probably wondering why they didn't go with The Fiend. Well, he beat Bray Wyatt at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So if they go with The Fiend at Extreme Rules, it might not look all that well. Now, WWE could have definitely given us The Fiend and then give Bray Wyatt some new competition going into SummerSlam. But WWE seemingly is building this up through Money in the Bank, Extreme Rules, and then SummerSlam. So WWE is using this as a way to get you to SummerSlam with the same title match you're seeing now between Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. They're using this old Bray Wyatt gimmick as a bridge to get to SummerSlam. They don't give a shit about the old Bray Wyatt gimmick. This is them to bury it for good. And Bray Wyatt is acting kind of multifarious like Matt Hardy here. He's going to be dipping in and out of characters here. Okay, great. Great. Another thing you stole from AEW. We don't need Bray Wyatt as the old Bray Wyatt. We want The Fiend to take the title off Strowman because Strowman sucks. Give Bray Wyatt some new competition at SummerSlam. But they're too lazy to write. So they'll just continue the same feud over and over again. So they'll have him beat Mr. Rogers Bray. They'll have him beat Old Bray. And then the Fiend will come out and play. That's all they did there. Could we see Eric Rowan return? Could we see Eric Rowan return to WWE with the new feud happening here with the old Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman? Several weeks ago, it was reported that WWE superstars have been released in April, and they've been offered deals to return to the company. Some of them, not all of them. Perhaps one of the wrestlers has been revealed in this possible rehiring, as Bray Wyatt is hinting at the return of the Wyatt family, perhaps alluding to a potential Eric Rowan comeback. The release of Rowan earlier this year came as a surprise to many, because he was actually on TV quite often before they killed his character and his gimmick, and then they let him go. WWE on Friday had Bray Wyatt appear as the old Eater of Worlds character during a segment with Braun Strowman. Seems like this version of Bray Wyatt will be feuding with Braun Strowman for the reasons I just told you. During the segment, you could see the old white sheep mask of Eric Rowan. It is interesting that WWE decided to use footage of the three-man Wyatt family of Rowan, Braun, and Bray, as opposed to the footage that featured Luke Harper. You know why that didn't happen. Because Brody Lee, or Mr. Brody Lee, is part of the Dark Order on that other promotion there. Obviously, Luke Harper now wrestles for AEW as Mr. Brody Lee, so WWE couldn't reform the four-man version of the Wyatt family even if they wanted to. The teases did not stop there, as Bray Wyatt also tweeted out an old picture of the Wyatt family that again just featured himself, Eric Rowan, and Braun Strowman. Bray Wyatt said this on Twitter: "Daddy's back. Hashtag let the sin begin. And always, down with the machine." Of course, this is merely speculation at this point. Nothing has been reported of a Eric Rowan return. However, don't be surprised if he does make a comeback and is part of the Braun Strowman-Bray Wyatt feud. Speaking of released WWE superstars, I don't think it would really matter if he comes back or not, to be perfectly fair. He was promoting himself as Eric Redbeard, his independent name. Now WWE is going to bring him back after he thought he was released. Yeah, can you come back and do this thing with Bray and Braun? And then we'll have nothing for you after that. If I'm Eric Rowan, I'm saying no. What do you got for me after the fact? You're just using me to further this fucking storyline. What do you got for me after the fact? This Bray Wyatt character is going to be killed off. They're really using it to get to the Fiend. I don't give a fuck about this Bray Wyatt character. WWE's portraying this Bray Wyatt character in the way that they promoted the old Bray Wyatt character when he was a natural thing on TV. A regular thing on TV. They didn't give a shit. That's exactly what they're doing here. They don't give a shit about this Bray Wyatt character, so throw him into this feud and let Braun beat him. The symbolism is there. But Eric Rowan, what is he going to add to this? Nothing. Nothing. Now we got Extreme Rules, House of Horrors, or some shit, horror show. Yeah, it's a fucking horror show. The writing on Monday and Friday is a fucking horror show. So why wouldn't the pay-per-view be the same nature? I don't give a shit either way. I don't care. The one thing I do care about, take the fucking title of Braun Strowman. Enough is enough. He does not make the show, does not make the title, does not make the feud, and any feud he's in, better. Give it to somebody that really deserves it. Bray should have never lost it. I'm still pissed about February. This does nothing for me. Eric Rowan was on TV before, and having him back on TV will do nothing. At that point, you're just doing for the sake of doing. You're not adding any context to what I don't give a shit about. You're not. And again, I'll say this once and I'll say it again and again and again. The Bray Wyatt-Braun Strowman feud is nothing more than a B-side, or Braun Strowman's fucking time in the Wyatt family is nothing more than a B-side of a fucking album imported from Japan that you're not going to hear of in the States here. It's irrelevant. It's garbage. It makes the overall album worse. Nobody gives a shit. That's all it is. It's a B-side. It's a song on a fucking album imported from another country, a B-side of an album from Japan that you don't give a shit about. It's just there. Who gives a shit? Take the title off him and move on to something actually worthwhile on SmackDown. That's it, guys. I'm getting out of here. This was a long, long, long fucking show, man. If you guys enjoyed everything that you hear on this show, if you heard anything on this show that you liked or piqued an interest of yours, let me know down below. And sound off. The comments are yours. Follow me on social media at JDfromNY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. And if you guys missed any of the content, again, everything you need is linked down below. Monday Night Raw, NXT. You got not NXT, AEW. No NXT this week. We'll talk about NXT tomorrow. Monday Night Raw, AEW, and then tonight I got SmackDown. So join me for that as well. Guys, thank you so much. Again, hit that thumbs up and check out the Ridge, ridge.com/script for your 10% off and free worldwide shipping and returns. Get yourself a beautiful Ridge wallet, and I will see you guys back tonight for SmackDown on Fox. Hopefully, it's a good show. Keeping my fingers crossed. Will they be wearing masks? Probably not. Hopefully, no more bad news comes out of the Performance Center because I don't think I can take it anymore. Anything I hear, obviously, we'll talk about it tomorrow on Off the Script. Until then, guys, I'll see you tonight for SmackDown. Have a good one, and I'll see you tonight for SmackDown.